Hi guys, thank you for watching my videos. If you like the video, please support the channel by click like and subscribe. A million thanks. Now let's go. First daughter in Beijing, married to a lame regent. Results every 2 years. Suddenly, I was allowed to lie on his bed. It's after consonance dies. Not only did Prince Fangti not set up a mourning hall and die of funeral, it's even more blocked. On the third day after her death, so a group and even Peng Zi were caught by him. KL, exile. Even a cousin who looks a bit like Linksy. They were all blinded by him. Sent to the frontier. He placed her corpse on the ice bed, along with used items. Forever locked in this dark room. From then on, no one in the world dared to mention her name again. And you, Linksy, who turned into a wandering soul. I have never done anything wrong to him. But why even after death? This lunatic won't let herself go once. She made up her mind that if there was an afterlife, make sure to let this V-star be a cow and a horse and give it back double. Perhaps God also feels sorry for her. I woke up again and was reborn at the age of 15. Linksy rushed out of the room impatiently. Now I am still the noble daughter of the general's mansion. Parents should also upload it. Sure enough, just arrived outside the store. I heard my parents discussing. Recently, Brother Fu will go to the expedition ceremony. I heard that below the sanctuary. Linksy couldn't help but feel tight. Because in the last life, father and brother were murdered by adulterers, died on the way to the northern expedition. Then the whole yoga was destroyed. She was also treated as a gift by a pair of Jianghuid to that lunatic. So Linksy rushed to the store quickly. Haven't spoken yet. A year old, enough to keep her tears low. She rushed up and hugged mother fiercely in her arms. Unexpectedly, it was suddenly poked open by my father's finger. The older you are, the more clingy you become. But Linksy didn't have time to enjoy this moment of tenderness. Muster up the courage to ask Dad, "Can you not be with your brother?" "Ben," father said in a coaxing tone. "Good daughter, the following decree cannot be rejected." But Linksy didn't give up and continued to persuade. There are many generals in the dynasty. This little disturbance. The emperor appointed a yoga father and son. 2 yuans will go together. The daughter is worried that there is fraud. Father rubbed her head. "Comfort that you are young. I still don't know what is Guotai and Minan, but Dad is a general. How can you be the one who is greedy for life and afraid of death?" Hearing the words, Linksy was silent for half a reward. It certainly is. Father has always taken the safety of the people of the world as his responsibility. How could you give up because of the child's 2 words? So she had to leave first. Decided to take the long view. Since Dad can't make sense, then I can only think of other ways to stop them. If it was Ning Ning, there must be 1,000 ways. Why do you think of that lunatic again? Hurry up and eat a chili-flavored yo-yo plum slowly. Then Walnut came over with the medicine. It is better to persuade Miss Jadao to eat less. I'll take medicine later. She just remembered. 15-year-old self. Still a medicine jar with a weak body. But she suddenly thought of a good way. So the constipated man collected a bunch of medicinal materials on the second day. She remembered that Ning Ning used her in previous life for fun. There is a medicine that can make people weak when drunk. Unconscious, but it heals in a few days. It's just that one of them, Juyo, is really hard to find. Coincidentally, Tang Buli, a good friend from her previous life, came to visit. She was one of the few people who died in yoga, someone who can still help. Since Linksy is fiddling with many medicinal materials, she can't help but worry about broken pieces. Your illness is better. Linksy's helpless explanation. My body is already in good condition. I'm just in a hurry to use this prescription to save people. There is a Juyu township. Searching all over the capital, I couldn't find classical Chinese. Tang Buli sat on the tower with confidence. Maybe there is a place I can find, but that's not something a little girl like you can marry. Then she didn't sell government officials. Stick directly to the Linkle side. She said mysteriously that the Jade Ring Immortal is responsive to requests, but that's a place where the sun doesn't shine, where human life is like ants. But even a blood-sucking cave, Yu Linksy is also determined to go for it. Soon the two went from a small vendor. I heard about Juyo. Even if Linksy doesn't have much silver on her, but it is still according to the hawker's bid of 300. Buy it directly without blinking an eye. And it was on the way back, but was knocked down by a teenager who ran out halfway. The medicine and the prescription fell to the ground together. Ollie was so angry that she cursed. "Are you dumb in your eyes or blind in your mouth? Don't you know how to apologize if you bump into someone?" Linksy, who only cares about picking up medicinal materials, didn't take it to heart. I looked up and said, "It's okay. It's okay." But this is an unexpected moment. The face under the mask. It was enough to make her speechless, because it is very similar to the husband of the previous life. Ning Ying, the regent of Fengti who killed her father, was fierce. I saw him covered in chill. The cold eyes swept across Linksy. Freeze frame on the prescription. Her body trembled instinctively, but still a calm analysis. Even the lunatic, he doesn't know her now. She secretly hid the prescription. Pretend to be calm and tell Ollie that it's okay. Better leave now. The young man glanced at it hurriedly. He also came to a shop. The shopkeeper laughed. "You can walk on the ground so soon." You really ordered him to keep quiet. As a result, I will turn around and leave. A moment of rubbing rubbing shoulders. Lingxi noticed that the boy's left leg was fine at this time, but she remembered that the lunatic in her previous life clearly had a disease in his left leg. So could this person really be Ning Yin? When the consonant hesitates, Ollie reminds her in surprise that you are bleeding. When she came back to her senses, she realized that it was not her blood. Could it be that person's? She suddenly had a bad feeling, so I'm going to stuff it to Ollie. She quickly chased in the direction the boy had left. I ended up in a remote alley. The man disappeared without a trace. Lingxi turned back violently. I saw a plaque on a tall building. It says Coliseum. She was about to chase in, but was stopped by her own guards. The guard explained that the lady could not go to such a place. It's not the hens that fight in this Coliseum. They're people. They're slaves for the rich and powerful. Let them KL each other on stage. Have fun with this bat. When I heard the words, I suddenly realized, remembering the bloodthirsty appearance of the wind ladder in the previous life. It seems that he must come here often for entertainment. Perhaps this is where he is now hiding. Think of this. Lingxi turned around angrily and left. That lunatic. Sure enough, he has been a dehumanizing person since childhood. However, she didn't wait for her to take 2 steps. A commotion came from behind. Let you run around. The guest has been waiting for you for 2 cups of tea. Lingxi back. I saw the boy fall to the ground in a mess, being punched and kicked, until the distinguished guest in the carriage reaches out and gestures. Spare him this time. We'll have a duel later. The shopkeeper sits on one side facing the carriage, while scolding the boy. Hurry up and pick up the guest from the carriage. So the boy, in a humiliating position, kneeled down to the carriage, willing to sit up on the bench, surrounded by relentless hunger. Look, that's a really good dog. The distinguished guests also seem to be satisfied, whipping 250 kilograms of fat. 1 foot on the boy's thin back. His veins were crushed, but still dare not say a word. The mask on his face also broke off. Lingxi took a step back unconsciously. She couldn't believe her eyes. That man is competing against the mighty wind ladder shooting her away ninjaing, but she doesn't understand. This lunatic who made the world change after 3 years. Why are you in such a situation now? Soon after, Lin Shi left Yuji Xiangdu in a carriage. On the way, she couldn't help but turn back. Ning Ning, he knew. Mixed flavors inside. Always a handsome and noble wind ladder, graceful even when killing people with blood. Not a trace of embarrassment, but now it's like this. She even had some doubts about the authenticity of the world. That night she had a very real dream. So real that she couldn't tell if it was a memory from a previous life, or in a dream. She looked up and saw the corpses hanging by the bed. Ning Ying stood by her bed. Evil smile, said it was the skin of yesterday's 2 assassins. Beauty lamp made for her. It's kind of elegant to hang here. The cold sweat in the west of Yulin. Because she knows, these 2 assassins are 80% here to save themselves. So she had to shirk the cold. Make an appointment with the prince to enjoy the lamp another day. But Ninjing didn't mean to let her go. Instead, they threatened to. It will look better when all the assassins are caught. Before leaving, don't forget to let the maid burn the charcoal more vigorously, lest the princess can't see clearly. Suddenly I woke up from my dream. Too late to think. Hurry up and get the walnuts ready for the medicinal materials they bought yesterday. Boil it and mix it in ginger soup. I served it to my father and brother, because she knew that only yoga would get through this. She can get rid of the doom of sleeping with a madman in a previous life. But she brought it. I haven't seen my father and brother take a sip for a long time, so she had to lie that the ginger soup was cold. The taste will also become dull. Otherwise, the daughter will give Yin and her brother's house spicy noodles. Yo-Yo Plum helps to sweat. As soon as these words came out, the 2 instantly panicked. Pick up the ginger soup and drink it, for fear of drinking slowly, ravaged by Lingxi's spicy powder. After all, the quirks of my own girl, they have already learned. It's really unaffordable. It takes time coupons to happen. After losing father and brother, the stone in Lingxi's heart finally fell. Not surprisingly, he was woken up by a walnut during the night, miss. This is not good. The general and the young master suddenly fell ill and were sent back. Even the imperial physicians in the palace are helpless. Only Lingxi knows. Because of this poison, it was she who gave it to her father and brother. She knew very well that this sentence had only deceived her family first, to convince the emperor, then take it back. Sure enough, she deceived the father-in-law in the palace. Now I just ask my family not to blame him. She will also protect them in this life. After appeasing mother, Lingxi returned to the bedroom. There is one thing still unknown. That was the cause of her death in a previous life. If the truth is not found out, I'm afraid this world will also be restless. However, the shocked expression on Ning Yin's face when she died, but it doesn't seem fake. Besides, 2 years of relative dawn and evening. He has 1,000 ways to KL her. Why bother poisoning the bed? You Lingxi has no clue. I had to carefully review the process of death in my previous life. It should be a pair from that day. Zhao Hui's birthday party begins to count. After receiving Zhao Hui's invitation that day. Thinking of his hypocritical face, Lingxi didn't want to go, when Zheng Yu threw it away, but accidentally found that a secret letter was added to it. Invite her to meet Zhao Mansion. The letter is from the only person in the world who sacrificed her life. I also want to save my bamboo horse. The mutilated Lingxi threw the letter and traitor into the charcoal basin in a panic, burned and smashed, because she knew that if she was discovered, welcome yourself and the soldiers of Zhu Zhang, the abyss of doom. But seeing Zhu Zhang about to do something stupid, she can't just sit back and watch, so she could only take advantage of the prince's departure, take the risk and go to an appointment. Soon, in the backyard of the Zhao family, I met Zhu Zhang, the second son of the prime minister's mansion, my childhood sweetheart. I haven't seen him for 2 years, although I have suffered a little, but still delicate and elegant. Lin Shi took off her hat and advised him not to do stupid things again, but he pulled Lin Shi. Ning Yingke led her father as a murderer, Duan Ruoli. It's too dangerous for you to be around him. I will find a way to get you out. Zhu Silkworm Lingxi pushed his hand away. Hate to wake him up. That Ning Ying is not something you can shake. For the sake of your childhood sweetheart and mine, you'd better stop now. Just then, Impatience came from behind. Lightly give birth to a childhood sweetheart. The moment I turned back to meet Ning Nai's cold eyes, Lingxi has no time to think more. She fell to her knees. Zhu Zhang also wanted to help her lift his second sister. Why kneel down to such a person? Hearing the words, the prince's eyes were fascinated. It was very good. Long time no see. Master Zhu's backbone is long. The smile that rose slightly from his lips let Lingxi stay strong. Only she knew how good this lunatic smiled. How cruel it is to go crazy. As expected, Yu Lingxi was carried back to the palace, and Zhu Zhang's life and death were unknown after being dragged away by Ming Ming's people. That night, everyone is talking. I'm afraid the lady will be lying in a mass grave tonight. Even Yu Lingxi herself thinks so, but in order not to implicate Zhu Zhang, she had to take a gamble, because when the madman came back, although there is blood on my hands, but not carrying the severed head waste. Let's watch it together. This means he is still alive. I would rather sit on my feet, slowly wiping the blood on his hands. Then smile and change Lingxi. Lingxi obediently knelt in front of him, wagging her tail to him without hesitation. I was wrong. That Feng Cha looked down at Lingxi with a playful face. Asked gently what's wrong. Think again and again. She tried to make her voice as authentic as possible. Be honest, it's wrong. Went out without permission to catch up with my brother. I thought the name of the sworn brother can quell the anger of the madman. But Ninjing snorted coldly. How did this king hear that you have an engagement with that Zhu Silkworm? It's still broken. The hand attached to Lingxi Haojing surprised her. Quickly argue. It's just a joke when my parents are around. And then I looked up, but I saw those 6 smiles. Why don't this king fulfill you 2 desperate Mandarin ducks? How to connect with Lingxi and don't know how to defend. It seems that we can only come up with some means. Prove it with actions. Therefore, she boldly untied Ning Ying's belt and robe. She leaned over and gently pinched his chest. Ning Ying didn't expect she would do it for another man. Don't hesitate to please yourself like this. You Lingxi, you're overestimating yourself. Who would have thought that Lingxi would be bolder to loosen her shirt? Kiss the man's lips? She has to try to find out if it is overestimated or not. Surprisingly, that latter surprisingly did not refuse. Instead, she won emotionally. After a long time, the lips of the two separated. That lunatic seems to like it. Her face was covered with a shy look of red clouds. Then pushed Lingxi away, laughing sarcastically with such a small mouth. How can you have the guts to eat this king? The words of Qi and blood made Lingxi's cheek tingle. She used to be a shining daughter of the general's mansion, but is Jin really going to be so humble now? With a burning pain in the abdomen, and she's coming right out of the front of the man. The next second, but was pulled to the bed and imprisoned again. I'm just starting to hate this king now. Is it late? Lingxi under the pressure. In a panic, she kicked his disabled left leg, and Lingxi froze. That's the anti-aging of this lunatic. Ling Ying's face also instantly sank. Softly, then I went down to the river with Lingxi. Smeared, so thin-skinned. What bed to climb? Why don't you break your legs too and chain them up? You don't even have the strength to climb out the door. Let's see how you can meet your old boyfriend. But at this moment, the consciousness of the consonants is getting more and more blurred. Her abdomen was aching like crazy, with a mouthful of black blood in her mouth. Soon lost consciousness completely. The next moment she found herself floating in the air. Beneath her is the madman in her own corpse. She actually died directly in Neen's arms like this. So it seems, even if it wasn't the lunatic who poisoned himself, I'm afraid he won't be able to escape the attack. These past events constantly tugged at her thoughts. It made her unconsciously difficult. Therefore, she was back in the dream of the past. I am still the undivided and unswollen ghost. And after she died, that guy seems crazier than ever. Lingxi watched the city's storms as he slaughtered the road. He led countless officials, big and small, unhappy. Even the 10 little emperors were kicked to the ground by him. But his sick face, but without a smile. Then he came to the dungeon to continue torturing and maiming. Then I warned him with a blank face. The king will not KL you. you. After all, if Mr. Zhu dies, no one remembers this time. I'm not finished. He seemed to notice something and turn his eyes, directly stabbing in the direction of Lingxi's wandering soul. Knowing that he can't see her, Yu Lingxi's whole body still trembled. Wake up suddenly. Fortunately, it was just a dream, but every day, I dream of the shameful night of my past life. No matter how miserable the lunatic offline is, it can't offset his future murderous sins. Think about it. Yulin Qiu excavated and couldn't swallow this evil breath, so she made up her mind. It's time to go to that lunatic and settle the bill. She picks up a pen, count her charges. The madman laid her during the day, bullied her at night, but he never scolded her in terms of food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Destroyed a pair of goalkeepers, so the people next to them were all exiled. But a family with parents dying instructions. Give her away at will like an object. And when Lingxi mother and daughter are at their worst, so they're not interested in reaching out to them. Therefore, he has no reason to be abysmal for these people. After considering it for a long time, but found, the man who once thought it was the most unforgivable to celebrate a difficult book. Wait for him. It doesn't seem to be as hateful as I imagined. But anyway, it was true that he tortured Zizang. It's true that my life and death will not end well. These two immoral things. It's enough for me to teach him a lesson. So the next day, she took her guards to the black market to find shade. After the guard heard that he was injured a few days ago, I've been rehabilitating in the nest. The world treats them as lackeys. Therefore, their dwellings are also called nests. Hearing the words, Lingxi no longer asked too much. I don't know how long. The carriage stopped at Yulin Creek near the nest. Lift the corner of the curtain, looking at it from behind the veil of the hat. There are broken arms everywhere. Insect infestation. In the low cell of the cell sheet. Slaves who kept the workers for fun. They're all numb and fierce. At this moment, Ning Yang happened to walk over from a distance. Lingxi subconsciously clenched the whip in her hand. Just let him get closer, so the guards tied him up. The next second, Ning Yingjing became alert. Turn around and run away. Lingxi ordered people to chase, but was stopped by the guards, miss. Wait a minute, he's not avoiding us. I saw 3 masked men, chasing in the direction Ning Ying fled. Moving extremely fast is more like an assassin than a polish. Lingxi's heart tightened. Did someone want to KL Ning Ying? Didn't wait for him to figure it out. I only heard a dream boy being kicked to the ground. Seeing the situation getting more chaotic, the guards quickly protected Lingxi and retreated behind the wall. Then the man was beaten and kicked. He knelt on the ground with difficulty. The already weak body began to gasp for breath. But those people don't care, and stomped his head under his feet. The master said not to rush to KLU first. Since you can escape, then break your legs first. On Huangquan Road, you can crawl through it. After saying that, he raised the Lenja hammer in his hand high, positioned precisely to his left leg. Lingxi suddenly realized, did his leg break like this? Seeing the hammer about to fall, Lingxi immediately ordered, what are you still doing? Go save someone. The common sound of a guard is like the body of an assassin. The hammer let go and fell to the ground. Other guards also swarmed. Lingxi also took advantage of the situation to protect the boy. Catch them. He raised his eyes weakly. I saw the veil of the hat blown away by the wind. The girl is beautiful. It's clean. It's glowing. It was her.